Hello, good evening and welcome to Rapid Television News. I am Godwin Amundi. In the headlines, President Tinubu makes more appointments into governing councils of federal institutions. Federal government suspends controversial sale of rice to civil servants. Obasanjo Okonjo-Iweala leads star student Innovate African Confab lineup. Tear gas fired as police clash with protesters in Kenya. Enyimba unveils new players Friday. Details of this and more will come to you in the bulletin. Now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has appointed new governing councils for two federal institutions. Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Orona, Akwa Ibom State has Kayinde Akinlona as chairman and Shewuma Igeri Doguwa, Samuel Isheche, Faisal Lawal Halidu as members, while the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, Zaria, Kaduna State has Anthony Manzo as chairman and Ngozi Okwoma, Runguwa Abdul Malik, Biodun Taiwo, and Florence Toyi Olorufemi as members. The federal government has announced plans to reverse the merger of federal technical colleges and science schools in the country. This decision was made public by the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, during a one-day stakeholders meeting on the challenges facing technical colleges. Professor Mamman expressed disappointment over the merger, stating that it eroded the gains of establishing technical colleges across the country. He emphasized that technical colleges should be strictly for pupils interested in technical education, while those interested in science programs should attend regular colleges. The minister also noted that the low enrollment of students in technical colleges, stressing that these institutions are meant to teach skills that can transform the country. The move to unbundle the merged colleges is seen as a step towards revitalizing technical education in Nigeria. Amnesty International has condemned the raid on the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC headquarters in Abuja by state-backed security operatives. The Global Right Group described the invasion as a brazen attack designed to intimidate the labor union and undermine workers' rights to organize, bargain collectively, and take industrial action. According to the NLC, heavily armed security personnel stormed their head office on Wednesday night, ransacking the bookshop and seizing materials claimed to be used to incite unorganized recent protests. Amnesty International's director in Nigeria, Issa Sanusi, expressed deep concern for the safety of NLC officials and emphasized that trade unions cannot be targeted for their participating activities under international human rights law. Sanusi stressed that Nigeria has an obligation to respect and protect the right of trade unions from abuse. The raid is seen as a sinister and calculated attack on the labor union, and Amnesty International strongly condemns the actions of the security personnel. The incident has raised concerns about the safety of NLC officials and the ability of trade unions to operate freely in the country. The federal government has suspended its plans to sell subsidized 50 kg bags of rice to civil servants for 40,000 naira. The decision was announced in a circular from the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, which withdrew the earlier circular announcing the plan. The initial plan announced by the Minister of Information, Idris Mohammed, aimed to mitigate the effects of the current food crisis by offering subsidized rice to civil servants in Abuja. However, no reason was given for the withdrawal of the plan, leaving many civil servants who had registered for the subsidized rice in uncertainty. The suspension of the plan has raised questions about the government's efforts to address the food crisis and support civil servants. The government had promised to communicate further details on the matter, but for now, the fate of the subsidized rice initiative remains unclear. Nigeria is facing a growing poverty crisis with over 93 million people living below the poverty line. But one organization is taking action to change that. Action Aid Nigeria has launched a 10-year plan to combat poverty and injustice in the country. Our correspondent Irene Okechukwu tells us more in this report.
There is citizen action to end poverty and injustice to address deepening poverty, inequality, and discrimination in Nigeria. According to Dr. Otive Ibuzo, the Executive Director at the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, the poverty rate in Nigeria is projected to reach 40.7% by the end of the year.
In spite of all our best efforts, poverty is increasing. Scholars have identified the challenges to include, among other things, poor leadership, bad followership, poor strategy for development, lack of credible and effective state and bureaucracy, lack of focus on sectors that will improve the condition of living of citizens, such as education, health, agriculture, and the building of infrastructure.
The plan proposed a well-formulated trust strategy to increase productivity and address the root causes of poverty. Afam Victor Ogene, the chairman of the House Committee on Renewable Energy, commended Action Aid Nigeria for their effort to educate citizens and create an enabling environment for people to know their rights.
Generally speaking, this is a long-term futuristic plan which goes in concord with what Action Aid is known for, helping the citizens get out of poverty through education, through knowing their rights.
Action Aid Nigeria's 10-year plan is a step towards creating a more just and equitable society. With the support of stakeholders, they hope to make a significant impact in the lives of Nigerians. From Abuja, Irene Okechukwu, Rapid TV News.
A devastating gas explosion has rocked the Mobil filling station on Obafemi Awolowo Road in Ikeja, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos. The blast, which occurred just after 10 a.m., has engulfed several vehicles, critically injured multiple individuals, and damaged a nearby two-story building. Our correspondent, Esther Imelu, tells us more.
This is Mobil filling station located along Obafemi Awolowo Way, engulfed by fire as a result of a gas explosion. The explosion, which happened in the early hours of today, led to the destruction of several cars within the premises, with some individuals severely injured. Rapid TV engaged some eyewitnesses who shared their experience.
I was the one at the point. They were selling fuel for me. So I just saw that something was coming out from that their gas. I think they were offloading the gas. So I just saw that something like white. Something just going up. So as I was about to running away with my car, they said I should not start the vehicle, that I should leave it there. So I left the car. Everybody, when I saw that the person that was selling the fuel for me has even run away. So I saw everybody were running away. So I left the car there. I too escape, run for my life.
God born. This is my vehicle. This is my office. This is my living. This is what I have. Without this, how will I feed my family? When they buy fuel, then they discharge this gas. The process of discharging the gas, all of a sudden we just see smoke everywhere. Woo. The smoke now cover everywhere. Then those fire attendants, they run to them, we should not panic, don't worry, we should not worry, we should not worry. All of a sudden, we just hear boom. Fire now start coming out. And then just fly. I don't even know how I managed to escape. I don't know. All of a sudden, I just saw myself alive.
At the scene of the fire outbreak were several emergency management agencies working together to put out the fire.
A few minutes after 10 a.m. this morning, we got a distress call from the Emergency Operations Center and, of course, the Lagos State Fire Service Operations Center, and that there was a heavy, gas explosions at the Mobil petrol stations very close to the airport hotel. And, of course, we deploy all of the emergency response plan of Lagos State. So far, so good. We have about 8 vehicles. They were in the premises, and one few outside on the road that was caught by this fire. And of course, we have about 7 of the victims that was affected. One of them suffered 70% degree of burnt and is been taken to the Lasut. Probably from there, it will be taken to Dagada Burns unit.
Spotted at the scene of the fire outbreak was also the Deputy Majority Leader of the Lagos State House of Assembly, the Honorable Member representing the Ikeja 2 constituency, which falls under the axis of the fire outbreak.
Well, my first reaction to that is immediately I heard about it, I made sure that we put some calls through to the response team, which is the emergency response management, and of course the fire service came on ground and tried as much as possible to put out the fire. And as you can see, everything has been at least restored to some level of normalcy, some minimal level of damage. A few people have been rushed out for medical attention, and I believe that within a short while we'll get to have more information concerning the aftermath of the fire incident. I'm just here to actually just see what's going on, and of course amidst the whole thing that is going on across the nation, one needs to be a lot more sensitive and very, very security conscious. So those are one of the reasons why we're here, to make sure that it doesn't escalate to a different level.
Addressing the press, the Security and Safety Manager for Double One PLC says investigation will commence immediately.
Security and safety is everybody's business, so whenever you see something going wrong, you have to intervene, because you don't know to what extent it's going to actually escalate. The good thing, like I said before, it has actually been brought under control. We'll commence investigation immediately to find out the remote causes of the incidents and ensure that such a thing doesn't happen again.
As at the time of filing this report, no death had been recorded. Esther Omelo, Rapid TV, Lagos.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has issued a statement clarifying the circumstances surrounding the gas explosion at a Mobil filling station in Ikeja, Lagos on Thursday. According to the statement, the explosion was not related to the recently commissioned NNPC Gas Marketing Limited NIPCO compressed natural gas stations, which are operating safely without incident. The NNPC Limited has reassured the public that its facilities, including pipelines, metering stations and CNG facilities, are in safe operating condition and were not affected by the explosion. The company has distanced itself from the affected station and emphasized that the incident was isolated. Alarm bells are ringing in Umuahia as the city's streets become overwhelmed with cow dung abandoned by herders grazing their cattle. With head rakes escalating, frustrated residents are calling on authorities to act fast and clean up the mess. Our correspondent, Oluwapelumi King Adeniyi, tells us more in this report.
Residents of Umuahia have raised concerns over the unchecked cow. Residents in the affected areas voiced their frustration over the unchecked cow dung waste, citing the potential health risks and urging government authorities to intervene and address the issue promptly.
Since I'll be staying in this place, modern block, I'll be seeing this cow on along. But I think in this place, they need to arrange that cow normal because of the shit. The thing is I saw too much. Government need to come in and know what to do about the cow. The cow need to go have a better place to go, not to be patrolling on the road that people used to operate. The thing is too much. They need to take care of it.
I believe they can create a particular access route, particular routes that this cow should be passed through. This cannot be passing through a main road or the heartbeat of the city, so that they would not in one way or the other polluting the atmosphere and the environment. So I believe the government should also create a particular access. This is the route for the cow.
Environmental expert Prince Onyewako weighed in on the situation, stating that while the unchecked cow waste may have positive effect, it also poses several threats on public health and the environment. Onyewako also emphasized that both individuals and the government need to take proactive measures to mitigate the risks posed by cow dung.
Cow dung is just fecal waste from cattle, and all that. And when you say unchecked, you cannot stop them from defecating. But of course, what you can do is to control where they do it. And you know, in this part of Africa, we don't have a control system for animal husbandry, which is what we have been pushing and preaching. So basically what I would say is that it has been a threat, both environmentally, the aesthetic, land pollution, water pollution, and of course it poses health hazard. If you look at the contents of cow dung, it has large content of nitrogen, calcium, ammonia, and methane and all that. So those gases and those constituents has a lot of deleterious environmental effects, negative effects in the environment. You can imagine when you come to an environment and you see cow dung littered everywhere. The odor and the health hazard that it poses, especially in residential areas, is a major threat to the environment.
Situation in Umuahia underscores the urgent need for coordinated efforts to manage livestock waste, ensuring the protection of both the environment and public health. Oluwapelumi King Adeniyi reporting for Rapid TV, Umuahia.
Tragedy has struck in Bayelsa State, where a wooden boat carrying 20 people, mostly vendors transporting food and goods, caught fire and exploded in the middle of the river. The incident occurred at the Ezetu-1 Community River in southern Ijaw local government area, resulting in the loss of all 20 lives on board. According to the police, the boat was traveling from Ikeni community to Yanugwa when it sank, and rescue efforts are currently on the way to retrieve the bodies of the drowned passengers. The incident has been attributed to the failure of boat operators to adhere to safety protocols, particularly the wearing of life jackets. The incident has sparked calls for concerted efforts to strengthen safety regulations in the marine transport sector, with the chairman of Southern Ijaw local government area, Target Sagibo, describing the disaster as regrettable. 2 months after 4 more bodies were recovered from the collapsed mining pit in Galkogo, Shiroro local government area in Niger State, the district head of Galadima Kogo, Malam Umar Aliyu, confirmed that the bodies were found on Wednesday and deposited at the IBB Specialist Hospital mortuary. This brings the total number of bodies retrieved from the site to 14. The mining pit collapse occurred on June 3, 2024, trapping numerous laborers at a site managed by African Minerals and Logistics Limited. The district head expressed concerns for the families of the victims, many of whom are still traumatized by the incident. The tragedy has had a devastating impact on the families, with many children forced out of school due to the loss of their fathers, who were the primary breadwinners. The district head noted that the community and the mining company have been supporting these families, with the company providing each family with 200,000 naira, while the Niger State government has set up a committee to disburse 50 million naira to support the victims' families. The burial for 2 of the victims is scheduled for Friday at the Emir's Palace, while the other 2 bodies will be returned to their hometowns in Nasarawa State as requested by their families. You're still watching Rapid Television News, and still to come. Obasanjo Okonjo-Iweala lead star student innovative African confirmed lineup.
Hey Stars, get more value for your money with StarTimes Upgrade promo. Recharge 1 month on Nova, Basic or Classic Bouquet and get upgraded to the next bouquet to enjoy exciting top shows like Hidden Truth,
even if something happens between you,
For the Crowd, Celebrity Cook-Off,
Okay, viewers.
Now, by the time we use half of it, the food goes sweet well.
Prides of Passion, and more. If you're on Super Bouquet, recharge for 1 month and get an extra 5 days free. La Liga is back on StarTimes. Anticipate, get ready, it's big. This offer starts from June 13th to August 15th, 2024. Recharge now and enhance your viewing satisfaction with the StarTimes Upgrade promo. Terms and conditions apply. StarTimes, entertain your family.
anytime wey you wan do down clothing, na so you go come here. Come meet me.
40,000.
Eh?
You don't forget, say you promise me, say you go take care of me.
My name is Akil Sakino.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss. My name is Akam. I go by the name Baba D. And you're tuned into Rapid TV. And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid
TV. Keep watching. Keep it down. Leave it like that.
And if you're just joining us, you're still watching Rapid Television News. Now, the rest of the news. The inaugural Innovate African Conference 2024 is set to take place on September 10 at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., USA. The event, termed Unleashing Africans' Potential Sustainability, will feature notable figures such as former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo and World Trade Organization Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. They will share insight and spearhead solutions to shape Africa's economic future. The conference aims to bring together over 500 leaders from business, government, and academia to forge strategic partnerships and tackle critical challenges in the rapidly changing global landscape. Innovate Africa Corps, in collaboration with Build Foundation, has organized the event to drive impactful solutions for Africa's economic and infrastructural development. The conference will feature a deal room to facilitate direct connection between investors and African businesses, allowing for the exploration and finalization of investment opportunities. The event will culminate in a spectacular gala night on September 14th, offering an exclusive opportunity to celebrate Africans' achievements, network with influential leaders, and enjoy world-class entertainment. Now for some business news, stand by.
Hello, welcome to Business News Update. The Central Bank of Nigeria has revealed that the net foreign exchange flows into the country increased to $25.4 billion in the first 6 months of 2024, marking a 55% increase from the figure recorded year over year. It stated that the evident progress is a result of its policy measures. This new development comes against the backdrop of its $876 million auction to 26 banks to resolve unmet forex demands. A statement from the Apex Bank on Thursday noted that this growth has been fueled by a rise in capital importation, which reached $6 billion in June 2024, and record inflows from diaspora remittances through formal channels. The CBN further noted that over $305 million of foreign exchange has been sold to authorized dealers in the last 3 weeks through a 2-week quota system, which has been deployed over the past few months to enhance liquidity in the interbank market. According to the statement, the CBN offered $876 million to meet bids submitted by customers during an auction concluded on Wednesday, August 7, 2024. In a bid to position Nigeria as a hub for global digital trade and innovation, the federal government has launched an initiative to establish digital-free zones in the country. Chaired by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's GCFR, a steering committee was inaugurated to oversee the establishment of these digital-free zones designed to attract and support tech, finance, and service-oriented businesses. in a conducive environment tailored to the 21st century digital trade and technological age. The steering committee includes the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, as Vice Chairman, as well as other key government officials, such as the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Olasukami Fagbemi San, the Ministers of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anete, and Interior, Mr. Olubumi Tunji-Ojo, and the heads of relevant government agencies. The initiative for the promotion of digital-free zones in Nigeria serves as the private sector stakeholders' representative and technical advisors on the committee. Dave Zane, a non-profit advocacy and policy research organization, is supported by a consortium of private sector development, focused and advisory institutions, including Africa Finance Corporation, PwC, Nigeria, Charter Cities Institute, Future Africa, and Itana. In a statement signed by the Director of Information and Public Relations, Federal Minister of Finance, Mohamed Manga, the mission is to develop Nigeria's free zones ecosystem into Africa's primary hub for global technology, finance, and service businesses. The committee will collaborate with relevant government agencies and private stakeholders to uphold Nigeria's free zone policies and 30-year-old regulatory framework, technology, and processes to align with global standards. This includes developing and polishing policy and operational frameworks to enable qualified global and local technology, finance, and services-based businesses to establish pan-African or global operations from Nigeria. And of course, to wrap it up on business tonight, European stocks were lower on Thursday as regional markets struggled to hold momentum in a turbulent week of trading. The Pan-European Stock 600 was down 0.17% at 3 p.m. London time, pairing earlier losses, but with most sectors and regional bourses trading in negative territory. Tech shed 1.1%, while travel stocks gained 0.92%. Global markets have been choppy after a rout at the start of the week. U.S. stocks opened higher after weekly initial jobless claims figures released Thursday came in lower than expected, alleviating some concerns about the state of the U.S. labor market. Last Friday's U.S. jobs report showed slowing employment growth, sparking recession fears and subsequent market volatility. Asian Pacific stocks were mixed in choppy trading overnight, while investors assessed trade data from Japan and the rate hold from the Reserve Bank of India. Earnings came from firms including German industrial technology giant Siemens, which reported a better than expected quarterly operating profit and a confirmation of its full-year outlook. And that's it on Business News Update. The Rapid Television News continues.
And for some international news, former U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a surprise news conference at his Florida resort amid growing concerns about his presidential campaign. The move comes as his Democratic rival, Kamala Harris, gains momentum in the polls and attracts large crowds to her events. Since President Joe Biden withdrew from the race last month, Harris has energized her campaign, raking in donations and raising Trump's head in the polls. Trump's campaign has been hit by rumblings of discontent, with the former president reportedly unhappy with his own performance against Harris and the media coverage of his campaign. He's also said to be dissatisfied with his returning mate J.D. Vance, who has been described as a lackluster public speaker and has made a poor impression on voters. The news conference, announced on Trump's Truth Social platform, is seen as an attempt to regain momentum and address the growing concerns about his campaign. With Harris's campaign gaining traction, Trump faces increasing pressure to turn his campaign around and appeal to voters ahead of the November election. Kenyan police clashed with protesters in Nairobi, firing tear gas and detaining several people as small groups gathered for a fresh day of action against President William Ruto. The protests, led by young Kenyans, have been ongoing for weeks, with demonstrations demanding good governance and accountability. Despite warnings from police, only a few dozen protesters turned out as riot police patrolled the streets. The protests have rocked the East African nation, with at least 60 people killed since they began in mid-June. Police have being accused of using excessive force, sometimes firing live bullets, while dozens of people have gone missing, according to right groups. The demonstration started as peaceful rallies against proposed tax hikes, but have ballooned into wider action against Ruto's administration, which many see as corrupt and profligate. President Ruto has taken measures to address public anger, including scrapping the tax hikes, rejigging his cabinet and making deep budget cuts. However, protesters remain skeptical, with many calling for further action to address the country's cost of living crisis and massive debt. And for more international news, Otto Bruce is standing by.
Hello and welcome to the international news. Here are our top stories. First to Somalia, where security forces in the city of Kismayo on Wednesday seized hundreds of Islamic face veils from female residents. The city's police chief says Wasame Ahmed Gelle told media authorities have been conducting operations to fight the veils, also known as niqabs, saying also the crackdown was sparked by concerns that jihadists could conceal their identity and carry out attacks. Large parts of Somalia are still controlled by Al-Shabaab, which has waged a violent insurgency for 20 years against the Somalian government. Friday, dozens were killed in an attack at a popular beachfront location in Mogadishu. Officers in Kismayo have been removing and confiscating veils from women in the streets. Women caught wearing the niqab, which covers the whole face except for the eyes, also face jail or a fine. The state initially introduced the niqab ban in 2013, citing security risks, but it was rarely enforced. Most Somali women still opt for the hijab, which covers a woman's hair but not her face. The police say 37 people were killed during Friday's attack, with many wounded. Al-Shabaab, claiming responsibility, said the death toll is higher than figures from the police. Now to Congo, where President Felix Tshisekedi accused former leader Joseph Kabila of backing a US-sanctioned coalition of rebel groups during an interview with a private radio station on Tuesday. Tshisekedi said Joseph Kabila boycotted the election and is preparing an insurrection because he is the AFC, referring to the Alliance Fleuve Congo, a political military movement launched in December with the aim of uniting armed groups, political parties and civil society against Congo's government. Tshisekedi's accusation follows the US announcement of sanctions against the AFC last month. Washington accused the alliance of seeking to overthrow Congo's government and fueling conflict in the east of the country. The rebel group M23 is already under US sanctions. Tshisekedi, along with US and UN experts, accused neighboring Rwanda of military backing the M23. Rwanda denies the claim, but in February it effectively admitted that it has troops and missile systems in eastern Congo to safeguard its security. The violence concentrated in the eastern North Kivu province has resulted not just in killings, but also in sexual abuses. More than 1 in 10 women living in displaced people's camps in the region reported being raped, said Doctors Without Borders, or MSF, in a report on Tuesday. Finally to Britain, where thousands of police and anti-racism protesters gathered on streets across the country Wednesday to challenge expected far-right groups that failed to materialise following a week of violent attacks targeting Muslims and migrants. Britain was hit by riots last week after 3 young girls were killed in a knife attack in Southport, northwest England, triggering a wave of online messages wrongly identifying the suspected killer as an Islamist migrant. Protesters massed in cities including London, Bristol, Birmingham and Liverpool, holding racist-worded banners. Groups of a few hundred clashed with police, smashing windows of hotels housing asylum seekers and throwing rocks at mosques. The anti-racist protesters were a diverse collection of Muslims, anti-racists and left-wing organisations, with local people appalled at the riots. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has warned rioters they would face long jail terms as he seeks to stamp out the worst violence in Britain for many years. Migration to Britain was a major factor in its 2016 vote to leave the European Union. Net migration through legal means was 685,000 in 2023, while 29,000 people arrived on small boats across the Channel. The police said more than 120 people had been charged and 428 arrests made in connection with the disorder. Thanks for being with us. Have a very pleasant evening. I am Arthur James Brooks.
Now to some sports news. Team Nigeria's 4x100 meters relay teams recorded season best times at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris, but failed to advance to the next round. The women's team finished sixth in their heat with a time of 42.70 seconds, while the men's team finished seventh in their heat with a time of 38.20 seconds. Despite their improved times, both teams were unable to qualify for the next round, with the women's team finishing behind Great Britain, France and Jamaica, the men's team trailing behind the US, South Africa and Great Britain. The disappointing outcome marks a setback for Team Nigeria's hopes of securing medals in the athletics event at the Olympics. However, the team's performance still shows promise, and fans will be looking forward to seeing how they fare in upcoming events. Nigeria's Odunayo Adekoroye lost to China's Hong Kezin in the women's freestyles 57-kilogram event at the 2024 Olympic Games wrestling competition. The quarterfinal match at the championed Max Arena in Paris saw Adekoroye take an early lead, but Hong pulled away in the second period, scoring technical points freely to win 8-10. Adekoroye had earlier overcome Algeria Chiema Akwesi in the first round, but was unable to replicate that success against the Chinese wrestler. Despite the loss, Adekoroye still has a chance to compete for a bronze medal if Hong makes it to the final. Adekoroye will now hope to fight for a bronze medal in the repackage, where she will face another opponent. Fans will be looking for her to bounce back from this loss and secure a medal for Nigeria in the wrestling event. Eyimba Football Club has announced plans to unveil new players on Friday ahead of the 2024-2025 Nigerian Premium Football League season. The unveiling ceremony will take place at the Eyimba International Stadium and will be presented by the club's chairman, Kanu Nwankwo. The event is part of the club's preparations for the new season as they aim to strengthen their squad and build on their success as 9-time PFL champions. The unveiling of new players is expected to boost the team's chances of competing at the top level. In addition to the unveiling ceremony, Eyimba will also take on Sierra Leonean side FC Cologne in a friendly match on Friday, kicking off at 3 p.m. This match is part of the team's pre-season preparations as they gear up for the new NPFL season. And that's about the size of the news tonight. But before we go, here's a recap of our major stories. President Tinubu makes more appointments into governing councils of federal institutions. Federal government suspends controversial sale of rights to civil servants. In the news, we told you that Obasanjo Konjo-Iweala lead star student Innovate African Confab lineup. And also we told you in the news that tear gas fired as police clash with protesters in Kenya. Eyimba unveils new players Friday. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. You can, of course, follow us on all our social media platforms. My name is Godwin Amunde, saying Udaro.
Hello and welcome to your rapid weather forecast for Friday, 9th of August 2024. I am Barnabas Sandra. We will see increasing rain and cloudy conditions in many places, particularly in the southern states. The day may start with thunderstorms. These conditions are getting more prevalent and spreading into the northern parts of Nigeria. Daytime temperatures are getting cooler with even colder nights, so carry a warm jacket or clothing when you're out and about. In the northern states, Clouds and rains are fast moving up from the south. You can expect to experience increasing rainfall. In the southern parts of Nigeria, especially in our coastal areas, the weather will be mostly very wet with high rainstorms and the likelihood of thunderstorms. Also, increasing cloudy wet weather in the southwest. So, let us look at specific city forecasts. Sokoto, the seat of the Caliphate, starting with occasional morning and rainfall with a few thunderstorms later, otherwise cloudy and wet. A couple of thunderstorms in the morning, later with intervals of clouds and sunshines. Temperature will rise to 32 degrees Celsius and drop down to 24 degrees Celsius at night. Kano, the center of commerce. Starting in the morning, cloudy with a couple of isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon. Temperatures will be rising to 30 degrees Celsius at midday and dropping down to 22 degrees Celsius later at night. Kaduna, the center of learning, will be largely cloudy with scattered rain showers in the morning, followed by sporadic thunderstorms in the afternoon. Temperature rising to 26 degrees Celsius and dropping down to 21 degrees Celsius at night. While in the northeast, Maiduguri, the home of peace, starting cloudy with widely separated thunderstorms in the afternoon. Temperature rising to 29 degrees Celsius and dropping down to 23 degrees Celsius later at night. Moving to the north central, Abuja, the federal capital city and center of unity. There will be rains early in the morning with cloudy conditions for the rest of the day. Temperatures will rise to 26 degrees Celsius and drop down to 20 degrees Celsius later at night. Now to the southeast, Umuahia, God's own state. The day will be mostly cloudy and very warm with sunshine spells later in the day. Temperature will rise to 31 degrees Celsius and drop down to 22 degrees Celsius later at night. Also to the south-south, Port Harcourt, treasure base of the nation. Cloudy in the morning, then with intervals of clouds and sunshines in the afternoon. Temperature will be rising from 27 degrees Celsius and dropping down to 20 degrees Celsius at night. Lastly, in the southwest, Lagos, the center of excellence. Early in the morning showers in a few places, otherwise low clouds throughout the day. Temperature will be rising from 29 degrees Celsius and dropping down to 24 degrees Celsius at night. Across Nigeria, the wet and cloudy weather condition will continue with heavy rains moving in from the south. Thunderstorms becoming more prevalent. Temperatures will continue to fall during the daytime and at night. Stay safe and keep warm. Carry an umbrella. Watch out for those thunderstorms before you go out. That's all from Rapid, your weather team, with your own daily weather forecast for Friday, 9th August 2024. Thanks for watching. Have a very pleasant day. I am Barnabas Sandra.
My name is Akio Sakido.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. Go by the name Baba D.
And you're tuned into Rapid TV. And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out
Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV.
This is Rapid TV.
Rapid
TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it down.
Leave it like that.
My name is Akio Sakido.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. Go by the name Baba D.
And you're tuned into Rapid TV. And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out.
Rapid TV.
Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is
Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it down. Leave it like that.
The modern state, particularly the so-called Westphalian state, that has characteristics of European creation of state, where the state is divided into the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, is something that is unique in the sense that for many young nations, particularly those which were colonized, they had it imposed on them. You will remember in most of the world where the imperial powers were, they were dominated. If it was the British, the French, the Portuguese, the Italian, the Germans, and the Spaniards, they ruled these countries that they dominated as external territories of their countries, and they were controlled from the metropole. For example, the Dutch would control Indonesia from their country in the Netherlands. And when the countries regained independence, the financial architecture that they inherited was an architecture that was alien. And it was alien in the sense that the states were run on the basis